I said we about to go live.
We
Sis said,
is.
oh yeah. What up, y'all? This is the Ladies Locker Room. Thank y'all for joining us for another episode. As you know, we are live on Facebook every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you missed the live for any reason, it ain't really a reason for you to miss it, but if you just happen to miss it, you can catch us on almost, and I say that with pride, almost every single major distribution platform there is. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio. We all through there. So welcome, sister. Good evening.
Yes. Good evening.
What's happening in the world of Angie today?
Oh, you know what? This weekend I talked to a cousin of mine about the family tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I told my cousin in Chicago that I was definitely gonna need some help with this. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of information just on that particular branch, which is the branch of my grandmother's grandmother. Okay.
Mm.
And just that one branch is a lot of work because they had a bunch of babies. And so we're going to have a family reunion, but we're going to have a family reunion with the sole purpose of filling in the gaps in our family history.
That's dope.
Because we don't need to be playing no games. I mean, we can have some music just because I like music and I can work with music on. But we don't need to have, you know, no nothing but the focus of filling in our family history because we got a lot of people who don't live in Michigan anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They scattered about. So trying to get them to coordinate when they come visit. We got people in Florida, Arizona, Chicago, mid Michigan, California, and that's just off the top of my head.
That's a lot
Just
of
on
places.
just on that branch of that particular part of my family. And that's the family whose bloodline is from Sierra Leone.
Mm.
So we want to fill in those gaps. And so my cousin, that's one of my cousins that is here, is going to help coordinate with the people who do not live here because she has all of their contact information to ask
Okay.
them if they can all come and visit at the same time so we can have a family reunion this summer. And bring your documentation about your parents. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you have, parents, grandparents, whatever documentation you have, talking marriage, birth, death, divorces, adoptions, so that we can start to fill this in. Because the long term goal, I would like for us to, as a family, take a trip to Sierra Leone.
That would be also dope.
Yeah, that's a long term goal. But I really want to get the family tree part done first so that we can link our present with our past. And like I said, that one family tree, like that branch, right? So, what I know to be a fact is that I've reached the point where slavery just ended.
Mm.
Okay. Um, and relatives were either born during slavery and were still babies or very young at the time, or they were born after slavery ended. So I'm just at that part, but I need to know who was a slave too, because somebody was a slave because it's the 1800s, okay,
Right.
and everybody wasn't free, and we know for a fact that somebody was captured and brought over here from Sierra Leone. So that's the gap, okay? That's one of the gaps in the past that we're trying to fill in. And folks got married young and had 10 babies, and then they babies had 10 babies. You know what I'm saying? So we got cousins that we know we've never met
Okay.
because you're talking about a son who had 9 siblings, and he is our great grandfather.
That's a lot of kids.
He had 9 siblings. Then he turned around and had 11 children of his own.
Shit. Were they all by the same woman?
Yes.
Double
And
shit.
they, and then they then they like staircases. Like I got a couple of uncles born in the same year.
Oh, okay. Were they born in the same year? So a couple
But
months
they're not
apart?
twins.
They're not
They're
twins.
not twins.
Okay.
So that you're talking about they about 10 months apart.
Gotcha. Question though, was
What's up?
when you proposed the family reunion for the sake of gathering that necessary information to fill those gaps, was it well received?
Yeah, and see the thing is, other cousins, we've already had some discussion about they already knew I was like, I'm gonna need some help because so much information has been lost. And I can't be the only one gathering information because our parents, and in my instance, my biological grandmother, is y'all's auntie,
Mm.
y'all mamas and daddies. I don't have y'all mamas and daddies birth dates and death dates and marriage dates and who their spouses was because I was young. I'm younger than y'all. We technically the same generation, but I'm younger than y'all. So
So
I need y'all to get y'all parents' information together,
so
y'all
since
siblings' information.
they received it well. Everybody
Yeah,
so far is on board.
yeah. Because
Then
they knew I was gonna need help. I can't do this by myself. It's too many people.
right, but listen though, how about that's a good segue into talking about how important it is to know who your people are.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate that even with the age difference between me and my cousins, so many of them are still alive. But our parents, most of them no longer are. Except, and here's the thing too, dementia is something that we are predisposed to. So my grandmother is 95 now and
Is
has
she
dementia.
95?
She 95, baby,
Ooh,
and probably gonna outlive a whole lot of people. So she 95, but she got dementia. So she does not remember a lot of things. And one of the things we noticed in conversation between me and my cousins is that a lot of our parents did not talk to us about their childhood.
right.
They didn't. They didn't talk too much about their childhood. So some of the things that we discovered because we was kids in the room while the grown folks was talking, or you know what I'm saying, and they thought we wasn't listening or paying no attention, and or it came up in conversation specifically, but we never really thought too much about it because it wasn't like something shocking. you know um we don't have a whole lot of secrets. We just have a whole lot of conversation and lineage that didn't get told. We got stories that nobody told, things that happened that nobody talked about, that kind of stuff. I got an uncle who's a boxer, professional boxer. I got an uncle who's a Tuskegee airman. you know we got we got all these brothers and sisters, and they were not all born in the same state.
That's just with their history, um, that would definitely help fill in a couple of the gaps. But
But the
like,
problem with that, it make it a little more complicated than you might imagine. Like, you would think, okay, even though these are brothers and sisters, same mom and dad, first of all, why weren't they born in the same state? That's the first thing. What happened where they were not born in the same state? And two, it's a lot of people, and I'm not when I say a lot, I mean more than two. Okay.
yeah.
But there are people who had similar names that
Hmm.
were born the same time, around the same time as some of my uncles and aunts. So going through documents online and through like ancestry.com, I got to be very mindful about verifying things like date of birth, date of death. where they were born
Right.
before I accept that information into my family tree, because it may not be my relative. It may be
Right.
someone with the same name, but on the other end of the country.
Hmm.
So it can make it a little a little, just a little bit, like, you'd be surprised how many Oscars, and how, what I'm saying. There's people with my on my grandfather's side. There's people with his name all across this country, born around the same time as him too. It ain't him, no.
Yeah, I can see that making it difficult though. With you have the same last name but a different spelling, or there's
Right.
a surname at the end, or a
Or the same
second
first and
word.
last.
Yeah.
There's like one of my uncles, I found people with the same first and last name as him with different middle names.
Yeah, so all that makes a difference.
It's like, what the hell? Like, but then that makes you wonder, like, is this person possibly a cousin? Because we know this name came about during slavery.
Hmm.
Could they be from the same plantation?
That's a relevant question.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a journey. And I don't expect it to be something that we do and finish overnight. It's going to be a process, but it's going to be worth it, because one thing all of my cousins agree on, because they are already grandparents, okay? They want this information to be available for their grandchildren and their great grandchildren.
As they should.
Is exactly. That's the whole point for me too. I'm not a grandparent yet, but when I become one, I would like for this to. So, like, as we get this information, and once we have a nice, firm, solid branch for the family tree, on because this is just one of my branches. But when that branch is formed and is full, everybody would receive a copy of it, and it would be digitized as well, and we would archive it somewhere. I don't know where yet, or archive it somewhere, so that our children and grandchildren would have access to it, and
That's
make sure that they
that's
know,
dope.
they know their history. The goal is to go all the way back to Sierra Leone, though. That's the goal, to find out who our relative is all the way back to there, and be able to, document everybody all the way up to the grandchildren that exist today, so that it can be a full family history. Because with us, when you are a descendant of an enslaved person, so much of your history is taken from you intentionally. They intentionally strip people of their name, their language, and put them in environments where the person that looked like them didn't speak the same language and wasn't from the same tribe or even country as them. So now you got to learn how to communicate with each other, and you got to go from there. And for some people during slavery, those commonalities were what bonded them together. That's how they became friends. That's how they became husband and wife, because the things that they did have in common were the things that they bonded over. So if you met someone and you found out they were from the same tribe, or they did speak the same native language, those were things that would bond people together. So it's one of those things. It's documentation, like going through the documentation, sis. A lot of it is handwritten.
And probably a lot of it illegible.
Child, let me tell you something. I thank God for the fact that I had to at one point in my life read doctors' handwriting, because it
Mm,
looked like there was a point in time where a lot of people wrote like doctors.
I can
and
imagine.
then and then the documentation is older. You know what I'm saying? It's on paper. The paper has aged. The
Mm.
paper has frayed. The paper may have even had water damage. You know what I mean? Or, paper kind of collapses. It kind of, falls apart just over time if it's not protected. And that includes military records. Getting my grandfather's military records was completely a daunting task, because the Veterans Administration had a fucking fire years ago,
So
destroyed
that
everything.
just destroyed a lot of connecting documents, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and not just for me, but for a lot of people who would have been in need of those documents. You know what I'm saying? So that is kind of something that you have to come to grips with, that some of the documents may not exist anymore due to things and circumstances beyond your control, fires, floods,
Yeah.
documents being destroyed in the moving process, and so it's interesting. It's very interesting. And I'm not saying it's not necessarily fun, but it's also not, it's not something I fear. I want to know. And that's why, like, I was watching Finding Your Roots,
Mm-hmm.
and Niecy Nash and Carol Burnett were getting their family trees solidified because they had gaps and they wanted answers. Carol Burnett's her history was interesting. She found out her grandmama was out here popping and doing it, and she had three husbands, child.
Not three.
Yes, baby. She'd been married three times, and one time was to a much younger man, okay? And his family was upset. They made him leave her, honey.
Oh, because of
But
the age gap?
because of the age difference and because she had been married when they met. And so his family did not approve. So they actually helped him to leave her and divorce her. And, so but she didn't know that her grandmother had been married three times, and she didn't know that her family didn't even know for sure which man was whose father, and so on and so forth. So she wanted to get some clarity about which one of these men was my grandfather, you know and then she told the story of how she was a young girl and lived with her grandmother because of her parents not being able to take care of her, and how she ended up going to New York and becoming famous and everything, and how she had that bond with her grandmother, and why she tugged on her ear to tell her grandmother hello. And then Niecy Nash, her situation was similar but different because her father is a twin. He has a twin brother, identical twin brother. And in her journey, she discovered that the grandfather of hers was not her biological grandfather. And her father did not know that that man that raised him was not his father until she told him.
That's deep.
Yeah. So, the person he thought raised him and his twin brother, and I think they had a younger sibling as well, was not their biological father. And found out that, her grandmother may have had an affair with a man that lived nearby. So, and then she also discovered that she's
Damn.
a cousin. Yeah, she also discovered that one of her cousins is Angela Davis.
That's as the world turns before the world starts turning good, ain't it? Shit.
I mean,
Please.
but it's like, and one thing Nisi said that I can relate to is like, there's power in knowing, though.
It is.
It's better to know than to always question, guess, assume. Because when you know your identity, when you know who you are, when you know who your people are, when you know where you came from, that can't be taken from you. It don't matter how dramatic it might be, or even how traumatizing it might be. The truth is power, especially when it comes to your identity. Niecy Nash was able to find out what plantation her people came from, where they were enslaved. You know what I mean? So she got a lot of information. And just her learning that in that moment, you could see how it was resonating in her spirit, that this is knowledge now about who I am.
Yeah, the thing I don't think people would realize that you really don't have to do anything with that information besides have it. You don't have to do anything
Right.
with it.
Yeah, you're not expected to do a thing with it.
But for things that I can only assume things that could be result in trauma for the person making the discovery. I think it's just important to maintain a good headspace if you're going to do that digging, especially if you know that there were traumatic things that were involved that could affect you negatively.
Yeah, and be open. I think that's the thing too. Don't go into it with any expectations. Be
Right.
completely open. Because you won't be disappointed if you didn't have expectations to begin with. You just be open to whatever the outcomes are. Because, for finding your roots, they get a DNA test and a genealogy research, which is pretty much what I'm doing. I just didn't use the same company. Still wish I was rich and famous enough for them to do it for me.
Right, so
I
you don't have to do all the legwork.
Yes, please, Mr. Gates, I would gladly allow you to do all of this for me, all of it. Okay. But I think that, and there's going to be a couple of people like I'm definitely going to watch an episode with his name is Joe Manganiello. He is so fine, so super fine. Ooh, he's so fine. And he is an actor who's been on a lot of things. He was in Magic Mike. He was on True Blood and a few other things that I have enjoyed over the years. And he gonna find out that he black.
Mm.
They already done previewed it, like, and got his permission, because when they find out that something is different from what you may already know, things like your grandfather is not your biological grandfather, they call you first. Okay, the show calls you first. They tell you what's up. They tell you to talk to your relative that this impacts, and then call us back and let us know if we have your permission to air it and talk about it. That's how they do it. So nobody is thrown under a bus and told this information without having given consent to share this
Prior.
information with the public.
Yeah.
So by the time we see what they have recorded, them even telling the person that that's all been edited into it once they have given their permission that, yeah, we can move forward. I'm gonna have a conversation with pops, moms, whatever, about this finding about our family, let them know, that what's up, and yeah, we can go ahead and air it. By the time that happens, they've already said okay to all of this. It's not happening, and they're just now finding out when we're finding out.
I can see how that could cause a lot of drama though, especially if the family had told some lies prior.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then just
Right.
now, instead of, having that discussion before something like that airs, you actually go ahead and air it without the discussion. I can see that happens.
Yeah. So to try to avoid that, anything they come up with that's different, they tell the person that's, got the test done and requested this service, and they tell them these are the findings. You need to have a conversation with so and so. Let them know that this is what we found, because it differs from what you've been told or what you knew. Make sure it's all good, and then let us know if you want to proceed or not. And if a person says no, they don't air it. We never see the episode. So
Mm.
anybody that says no, I don't want to share this information with the public, they honor that. And
That's a good
we never see the episode. Never. They keep it between them, the producers, and their family.
thing. Oof.
And none of those people are allowed to reveal it. The person that it affects, if they decide they want to reveal it to the public at a later time, that's on them. But Finding Your Roots will not air it without consent if the person says, no, I don't want it to air.
See, I couldn't sit in that seat without somebody telling me. I mean, I just couldn't, because tell me what the shit is first before I see it on national TV. Because if it ends up with some shit that I have been, believing for all of my life or the majority of my life, and I see something, just a bombshell just drop on, girl,
Yeah, and that's why they go through the process of telling you so you can discuss it with your family and then decide if you want to move forward with it airing or not.
yeah, my reactions ain't set up for bombshells.
Yeah,
They not. They
yeah,
just not. I just give it to me straight behind closed doors or something, because maybe if it's something that is going to be shocking that I didn't know about, even then is not a good time to be wanting my forgiveness about something, or you know what I'm saying. So I don't know how I would respond to that.
yeah. But
But
I've never seen the episode where it was something huge because, again, if they don't want us to know, we don't ever see the episode.
right, so you wouldn't know anyways, yeah.
Yeah, we would have no idea if it was something that a person completely could not handle and therefore didn't want it. Anything you see emotional, if it's airing, is because they said it was okay. And they were willing to still move forward and have this whole thing, this process taped. And it is a natural, whatever the reaction is that's their natural reaction when, at the time, but we ain't gonna see nothing they don't want us to see. And I, I, I really would love Henry Louis Gates to do My Family for me, because it's gonna be a lot of work, child.
Put it into the universe.
This is, oh yeah, manifest that. I've been manifesting
Yeah.
everything else, huh? So
Yes, and you have. But speaking of things that I can't continue to stomach. I'm sick of seeing it, but I had to talk about it because how Tory Lanez wishes that he had testified.
what?
Girl, all over, yeah, it's everywhere.
Mister, I'm gonna write it in a song. Now he
Like to
now
hear
he wanna
it though.
testify.
Now
But the judge,
he wishes he had to testify in the trial. My thing though is for what?
you listen, they already told him. The judge said, if you testify, all these other cases against you go into evidence. And those songs you wrote about this situation go into evidence.
Right.
So he said, I'll shut up. So you got how many cases against you, bro? Because this ain't the first time you have assaulted a woman.
Yeah.
And it's public knowledge that you have also assaulted a man.
Right. So
All of
just
that.
the habit of assault on other people that you have alone.
Yes. You have a history of violence. Unprovoked violence. You hit August Alsina because he didn't want to shake your hand.
The nigga name is Daystar. You can expect shenanigans from a motherfucker called Daystar. I would just put that out there first of all.
And his daddy name's Stupid Star, North Star, something else ridiculous as fuck. Yeah, you name your son some dumb shit too. Yeah, so we see where you get it from.
I can't get with it, but
But it, I agree. Like, what would that have helped? A testifying would not have helped him at all, because all of those other things that he had done would have been on the record too. It would have just shown a history of violence. Because he did not testify, the prosecutor could not bring up any other case that was currently against him in the past or in the future. Because August ain't never say he ain't gonna handle that. You know what I'm saying? August is still under the statute of limitations. August is probably waiting to see what the sentencing is going to be for this particular case before he pursue his case. Because that's what I would do.
I ain't letting nobody named Daystar call himself slapping on me or whatever. However he abused however many of his victims in the ways that he did it.
She said, nigga named Daystar ain't gonna put his hands on me.
I'll kick you in the back. I'll kick you.
Because he ain't but 5'2".
I'll kick your ass in the back.
He ain't but 5'2". Shit. I stepped right on his foot. Nigga, look. Next gonna be your head. You better go sit down.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I mean, he's a fool. He's a fool because his testimony would not have helped him. What he gonna say? I ain't do it. People saw you did it. People saw you do it. People saw you do it. A complete stranger that was your witness said, I saw the little short nigga with a gun. You was the only little short nigga out there in front of that man's house. He seen you. He seen you go to the car and get the gun and start shooting it.
I'm gonna need Daystar to go directly to damn jail. Do not pass go. Do not
collect $200.
$2, let alone 200.
Oh.
Get your ass behind them damn bars, sir.
And serve your sentence, because you're gonna get one. When you are sentenced, it's gonna be nice. And then August Alsina gonna come piggyback right off behind that one, and you're gonna get some more time. Because I would just had a time. Because see, he wasn't supposed to be in that situation in the first place. You wasn't supposed to have a gun. You sure the fuck wasn't supposed to be shooting nobody with it, accidentally or intentionally or otherwise. Because of these prior cases, you were on probation.
Maybe he thought his stardom or lack thereof was enough to carry him if he were to get caught doing some other stupid shit like he did.
Well, that's why his ass in jail.
Mm.
He thought wrong.
Speaking of damn jail, you know the singer Sammie?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
His mama is a thug or something. I don't know what the hell, but she and killed this lady. So she has been charged with murder. It's actually second degree murder of what? You know what? God bless her soul. But I don't get it with these names. I hate to interrupt. I hate to interrupt a narrative. But this lady's name is Nikaba Collier. What be wrong? What's going on? What is
you
happening
said
in
what?
y'all's minds when you name your children? That's another topic. But anyways, she killed the lady. There were some witnesses stating that she was, running around screaming, thinking that someone was after her. So that, right there indicates that there was some issue with her
Mental
mental
illness. Yeah.
right. There
That's
was,
what I was thinking too.
yeah,
I ain't even gonna lie. When I heard it and I saw that they said that she was shooting, just like not shooting at any
randomly.
particular person, she was just shooting randomly, and a bullet struck the lady. The young lady, she's only 27 years old, and I was like, okay, that sounds like she was having some type of mental illness issue in that moment. What it was, I don't know, because it could be a plethora of things. She could be an alcoholic. She
Mhm.
could be using drugs. She could be schizophrenic. She could be bipolar. There's so many different things that could have been affecting her in that moment that caused it. And that's the only reason I'm looking like, y'all sure y'all want to go with murder?
Well, maybe I don't know if it started out as first degree odd, and I know where they currently are as second degree murder. But then, is the justice system is just so disproportionate to us anyway?
Mm-hmm.
So immediately they're going to give some type of lengthy charge. So there's a charge that's going to result in a lengthy sentence because she's black.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. But and then even if hopefully they do lower the charge, but even if she did go ahead and serve whatever sentence is associated with it, what is there's no guarantee that she's going to get the help she needs behind bars at all,
Especially not for murder.
especially not for murder.
Especially not for murder. Unless the only see the prosecutor, and it depends on what state they're in. Okay, that's part of the thing. It's going to depend on what state they're in. The prosecutor is going to have to prove intent because murder is an intentional. Murder is intentional. Manslaughter is sometimes accidental.
Right.
Proving murder is often harder because you have to prove malicious intent. That this person left their house that day and made a conscious decision to kill this other person.
This is in Florida, by the way.
Florida is trash.
We know it. We know it.
Florida has a history of, just like you said, charging black people harshly in comparison to white people. All you got to do is remember George Zimmerman. That should have been murder.
Right. Right.
And he got to go home off self defense. A woman who shot at her abusive husband went to prison for attempted murder.
Mm-hmm.
in spite of her having documented history that this man had been abusing her, and she didn't even shoot that man, but because she was black, she went to prison. So Florida's trash, and I really truly hope that Sammie is able to help his mom get help leading up to whatever her trial is, whenever her trial is, and whatever that decision is, because it really does sound like she had some type of mental break. And the problem is going to be, how did she get the gun?
Well,
That's where the problem is.
first things first is acquiring the proper legal representation.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I would hope that, you know, with whatever fame he's acquired up until now, hopefully whatever money he saved, but we know how stars are, especially if you don't hear a lot from them.
Mhm.
Hopefully, um, he'll prioritize, getting good legal counsel, but also
Yeah.
making sure that they are on top of her care all the way up until trial.
Yeah, because they're
And
gonna have to, if she did have a mental break, they're gonna have to be able to get experts and people who know her history and know that she has a history of mental illness to come forward. And in the black community, that is still a huge stigma. Just like the young lady who ran that red light in LA, the nurse. That was
yeah,
a lot of people failed her.
sure.
A lot of people failed her because they knew she had issues with mental health, yet she was allowed to continue to drive after having 13 prior car accidents.
She was allowed to continue to practice.
Yes. As a visiting nurse, as a traveling nurse. It wasn't
Yeah,
like she was a nurse at a hospital in a stationary place when she had to catch the bus back and forth. Okay.
yeah.
She was a traveling nurse. She had left Texas and went to California, and people knew this.
In case y'all
This
don't
was
know,
allowed.
traveling nurses make bank
$90,000 a year.
minimum.
Easy.
Minimum.
Easy. That's on a bad day. A lot of them left hospitals to take traveling nurse positions because it pays so much money. And it's usually contractor positions, so they only have to work 3 to 6 months out the year and make
Right,
$100,000 damn near in that small amount of time. And ain't got to work the rest of the year if they don't want to.
right.
And the fact that she had documented 13 prior accidents and was allowed to keep her driver's license, allowed to keep car insurance, allowed to keep a vehicle. Those are all issues where she was failed. The system failed her in all of those areas
Right.
because her life would not have been upended, I don't think, if she had never got into a car.
Well, if you don't have the opportunity presented in front of you, how can you?
Exactly. If you got to catch the bus to get back and forth to work, you can't get into a car accident unless you done stole the car. But she didn't
Yeah.
steal the car. That was her car registered in her name, insured under her name, paid for by her. She should have never been driving after having that many accidents in the first place. And particularly if it was known that she was suffering from mental illness and that any of those prior accidents were a result of her having some type of breakdown. Her license should have been suspended. She would have never flew through that light and killed those people. So we have to look at the fact that before the justice system even gets involved, there are other systems that fail people who need assistance with their mental health issues. And I think the situation with Sammie's mother might fall into that category too, because why she got a gun?
How did she get it?
How did she get it?
Who did she get it from? Who did
Right.
she lift it from?
Whose
Why?
name is it registered in?
What?
You know what I'm
What?
saying?
What care was she not getting? Which is obvious before, and why wasn't she getting it with living relatives? Um,
Hmm.
there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, because they said that she shot into the vehicle, and the girl's name is Nakeba. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I,
That's the best I can do. Nakeba Collier. and she
Thanks.
was found in her wrecked car. So after she was shot, it crashed into a parked vehicle.
Man, it's just it's tragic all the way around because this young lady doesn't get to go home to her family.
Right.
Her husband specified that they have small children. So how do you explain that to a small child that's expecting for her mom to just come back from the store? You know, it's tragic for everybody.
Yeah.
So I got to switch it up because the news be depressing sometimes. But this is what we doing this for. It's bullshit and shenanigans and fuckery going on all over the world. And not only that, though, the things that affect us here at home, the things that happen in our communities, these loose demons that's running around and you can't really feel safe to do anything. It's a lot of things to combat. It's a lot of things to talk about. Um, but we try to keep it as lighthearted as possible also because we like to have fun. Um, so since we don't only celebrate us, we don't in the month of February. You can't contain Black History to
Hmm.
1 month. You can't. But Snoop Dogg, Sade, Teddy Riley, all of those greats are amongst who are going to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, I think that's so dope. It's well deserved, overdue if you ask me, but that collection of years in the industry, giving us all the hits that we love, well
Hmm.
deserved for sure.
That is what's up.
Yeah,
Ooh wee.
I was digging that. There is a sixth grader and already at six figures. Isn't that interesting?
Wait, a sixth grader? What?
A
What
six,
is happening?
yep, a sixth grader. So her name is Gabby Goodwin,
Uh huh.
and let's see, her parents are well to do. Her dad's a comedian and a keynote speaker. Um, he's been on America's Got Talent. He's been on Lifetime, BET, all those things. Her mom, she basically runs the show for her daughter. So they're talking about investments in legacy building and the things that they have taught her that she's, absorbed so well that this young lady is as a six-figure net worth.
So people pay the little girl? What's happening?
Mm-hmm. It's basically she's continuing on with her family's legacy of entrepreneurship.
Oh,
So,
okay.
she has her own businesses and investments and things of that sort. And all of those things um, have equaled her being able to be at the financial status that she is now at just 6 years old.
Right. Got it.
Yeah.
Investing is important.
It
It really
is
is.
important. It is. And diversifying your portfolio is equally as important.
But it's risky. And I think people need to also remember that. But if you can afford a Birkin, you can buy some stock. If you can
Yeah.
afford a really nice car, you can buy some stock. If you can put a hefty down payment down for a house, you can buy some stock.
Hmm.
It's just really about prioritizing and, wanting to do it and wanting it to be a part of your life and your lifestyle to invest in something versus, you know, whatever else. Because I don't believe that a person should have to choose. I think that if you really want it, you should be able to do both, save money and invest it, travel and invest, have nice things and invest, have life insurance and invest. You know, I think you can do them all with proper planning, prior to prioritization, and it doesn't necessarily require a lot of sacrifice either, because you can't look at it as it being something you have to sacrifice to do, because that's a mentality of lack. You could do both.
I think a lot of people look at investing as a whole, as a general subject, as something that is a quick gain.
But it's a long term
The investing
strategy.
is the long game all the way
Yeah.
around. And you have to have a mindset of patience when it comes to it, because you'll have up days, you have down days, you have days where you see other people pulling out and you want to make a hard fast decision and you can't necessarily. So I don't know. I think it's for the money issue of Detroit CEO magazine, we're going to get in depth, is what I want to do as far as investing is concerned, and
Hmm.
giving some details about the different types of investing and providing some education about that.
And I got the perfect person in mind.
Do you?
Hmm.
Speaking of perfect people in mind, um, we are, or I take that back because I got to give this young lady her due. I'm happy to see her back behind the mic in media for this. Is in conversation with Angela T. Jones.
Oh.
And I'm looking forward because it's a couple of interviews in the next few days. You can look forward to hearing those exclusive interviews on February 8th to accompany the release of Detroit CEO magazine. How
Hmm.
excited are you?
I am very excited. I thought I was going to be more nervous than anything else, but I'm incredibly calm. I don't know
That's
if it's the cold water rinses after the shower, or the exercise, or I don't know what it is. But I feel incredibly calm. My anxiety has been steadily decreasing lately.
a great thing.
Like, it's I don't know exactly what to attribute it to. It may be a combination of things, but my anxiety has definitely decreased overall. I feel a lot more confident moving just through life. I feel a lot more confident just, in the moves that I make and things that I do and things that I strive for. And I want this feeling to continue. So I'm gonna keep doing all the stuff I'm doing, because whatever's happening is working.
That's a good thing. That's the decrease in anxiety specifically. I'm trying to get there still. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because before anything, it has always been like this. And again, I'm working on making it better. But before anything, before any launch, before any show, before any of the other shows on the network, my nerves is like shot. Now I was telling Big Slim yesterday, I said, but the first 3 minutes in, I'm good. And I try to differentiate, the difference between this or, hosting an event. I haven't hosted an event in a couple of years, y'all. But I'd like to say that I do well at it, right?
Mhm.
So, but when it comes down to actually, putting it together, plus hosting a show, plus producing other shows, it just, sometimes it can be overwhelming and it can be um, mentally taxing, and it can also be exhausting.
Mhm.
So, I'm working on finding a balance.
Well, maybe first of all, you might need to come get your birthday gift. It was gonna be your Christmas gift. Now it's gonna be your birthday gift.
Okay.
And that might have some things in it that'll help with that.
I'm sure it does. I'm positive it does because I know you, and I'm still working on gifts from last year, y'all. Let me tell you something. Let me explain something to you. When I went to get my Christmas gift, it wasn't last year. It was the year before. So that tells you if I'm still working on those things, then she just like went crazy, right? So I get this big ass bag of everything self care in it. I got some cute jewelry and a makeup bag that I love, and a bag that I love, a purse that I love, a bag for my laptop that I like. Man, listen. This face mask also, this gold face mask. Listen,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it really is just like being at the spot, and I really think I'm gonna do my face after the show because we like to keep our skin, glistening,
Mm-hmm.
drink
Mm-hmm.
our water and things. But it it did help. That helped. It still helps a lot because I need those moments where I can just digress. I need those moments where I can get in my car and just drive and get some air. I need, those moments of peace to myself because it's just really hard to unwind and at least turn down the hamster wheel. The hamster wheel still keeps going, you
Right,
know.
right, right.
But as far as actually putting some brakes on that boy, child, I wish. I wish.
Yeah. I think every gift I've given over the last few years has been self-care related. So I don't want to not share the gift of self-care.
Yeah.
I want everybody, I don't know, I want everybody to experience the kind of peace I have.
Right. Right.
I want it's like I want everybody to just be peaceful and happy and less anxious about your lives and just
But that comes with controlling your environment, though. That comes with in controlling what you consume.
yeah,
That
yeah,
comes with controlling the conversations you participate in. That
yeah,
comes with a
yeah.
lot of work to get to that place. Because there was once a time where you weren't so,
Oh yeah.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
be
It
climbing the
was,
walls and shit.
yeah,
Like
yeah, for real. Hitting the bag extra hard,
yeah, yeah. And scared and anxious and depressed and yeah, it
Child,
does
I don't know nobody want
require.
to go back there.
Oh hell no, not never. we we not doing that no more.
Definitely
Uh,
preventative measures. Yeah.
and
Mm-mm.
I think you're absolutely right. It does, and I'm very. It's that combination of that Capricorn stubbornness. This is where the stubbornness of a Capricorn really comes in handy when you make very strong decisions about your boundaries, and you're like, you will not cross these boundaries. These boundaries will not be let down. I don't give a damn.
For nobody or nothing.
I don't care how I make you feel. These are my boundaries, and I have them for a reason. And I like the way shit is, and I'm gonna keep it like this.
Right.
And
Keep the
some
ball
people, yeah, some people will try to make Capricorns feel bad. They'll kind of, yeah, you're just stubborn and you want your way and you want to be in control of everything. Yes, when it comes to my peace, absolutely.
right. Right.
And you're not gonna make me feel bad about that. I don't give a damn. It's like I don't. There are literally the boundaries are so strong, and the outcome of having those strong boundaries is so rewarding that I refuse to let go of them.
You know why that's great for the culture? I'm gonna tell you why. Because other people, younger generations, the people that you influence as a public figure, people are going to gravitate toward that and want to know how to do that. And that's important that you mentioned that, and that part is important to you. Um, because some people don't have an example of what that looks like, or what that process to peace looks like.
Yeah, because society will have you anxious and feeling unfulfilled and telling you that you must do things exactly like this in order for you to be happy. And that's not true. A lot of the systems that we are taught matter don't really matter that much. It's the rat race in the attempt to try to satisfy everybody else takes away from a person's true fulfillment and purpose. Like you can't be everything to everybody else and you don't even know who you are. You don't even know what you like. You just kind of doing what other people expect you to do. And for what? I mean, it's not going to make you happy to try to fit in to the ideas of who you should be based on what other people say you should be. You can discover who you are and be completely happy, fulfilled, purpose driven, walk in your righteousness, have everything that you are intended to have, and be the exact not what other people tell you you have to be. And a lot of times for us as women, it's rooted in something misogynistic and patriarchal, like
Well, I guess I just feel like I still am discovering myself. I'm still discovering what I like. I'm still very resolute on what I don't like, because if I ever said it, that's what I said. Um, but that comes with a challenge by people who just feel as though their way is the highway, or how they see things is how they see things, and that's it, and just the stoicism that's involved in that. But I just, if you're concrete in how you feel about things as a person, um then make sure you stand on that. It's nothing worse than saying something that you believe, or saying something that you're adamant about, and then doing something completely different. Um, I do not want to know what happened to my co-host, but that is definitely the end of our show. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, there she is. I thought I lost you altogether.
girl, you lost me because something happened with the internet over here.
Oh my God. I was just thanking the guests for tuning in, or the listeners for tuning in to another episode of the Ladies Locker Room. We are
Hmm.
a Detroit favorite, favorite podcast, favorite local podcast nominee for the Detroit Choice Awards. That is happening September 17th at the MGM Grand in downtown Detroit. You can vote, vote all the way up till March for the Ladies Locker Room. We hope you do.
Please vote for us. Please. We deserve it. I'm just going to say that. We deserve it.
Absolutely so. Absolutely. But we also don't want it to not be said, because we really do feel this, that, to all of the other nominees, good luck to you. um we're looking
Absolutely.
we're
But
looking
we
forward.
deserve it.
We deserve it. We deserve it for the culture. And everybody on that list is black, so if it's a black win, we win all together. With that said, follow us on Instagram. You see the ticker at the bottom. I am Lucretia L. Rogers. For Miss Angela T. Jones, we'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.